Hello, welcome to episode 9 of Virtual Strangers, our weekly virtual reality games focused podcast. It's not a games cast, should we say? I'm joined by everyone today. So we've got Justin, we've got Roots, and we've got Wes, and then we've got myself, Alex. It's been a busy week, as everyone knows. We've had two big hardware launches from Oculus. We've got the Rift S, and we've got the Quest, which means new games. So I'm going to do is just quickly list some of the games that have come out. I know I've probably missed some of the bigger games that have not ports, and then what we're going to do is some of them we can talk about in a minute. So we've got Dead and Buried 2, which was released on the Quest and also on the Rift. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to play that. We've got Shadow Point, which is on both Quest and Rift, which we'll talk about shortly. We've got Dance Central, which I'm sure we were all dancing in our play spaces. No, that's none of us got that. And then we've got Vader Immortal, which we will be talking about, but we're going to do a separate interview. We're going to do a separate review on that one, which Wes and Justin are going to cover. We'll probably launch that. We'll probably do that on the same day as this, so we should hopefully have that to access as well. Journey of the Gods. I think one of us maybe tried that on the demo of that, but we haven't been able to pick that one up yet. And then we've got Face Your Fears, which Justin has tried, and Sports Scramble. So PSVR, we've had Everybody's Golf, which was released this week, but again, none of us have tried. And I just want to quickly say, actually, I know probably people are probably thinking, all these games, we've not played them all. Unfortunately, because we're quite new, we don't get a lot of keys, so we can't afford to buy every game, so this is why we've got some, but we haven't got all of them. Hopefully we will get to the other games in the future. Next week, we've got 3 big PSVR releases. We've got Blood and Truth on the 28th. We've got Five Nights at Freddy's on the 28th. And then we've got Trover Saves the Universe on the 31st. We've talked about these infinitely before, so we're not going to go over them again, but I believe... Are you guys picking any of these up next week? Will we be able to talk about them next week, hopefully?
Blood and Truth.
Blood and Truth, yeah.
Yeah, most likely both of them, probably.
Same. I'll definitely be picking up both.
Because obviously Trover Save the Universe is coming to PC, but I believe it's on the 4th, is that right? On Steam. So that's going to be the week after. But are you picking this up on PSVR, Wes?
I'm still flip-flopping on this one. I was going to get it on Steam, but then again, I don't want to wait. I'm very pumped for this game. Also, I have a rental service. I subscribe to Gamefly, so I may be able to pick this one up without dropping the $30 for it. So it's a possibility that I do play this one on PSVR.
Hopefully next week we'll be able to talk about Blood and Truth. We'll be able to talk about Trover Saves the Universe. I don't think any of you are bothered about Five Nights at Freddy's, are you?
I may have it because my children are super pumped at it. I'm looking right now at a 3-foot glow-in-the-dark blacklight Freddy plushie because my kids are gigantic Five Nights at Freddy's fans. So I'll probably have this. I'm probably not going to play through the whole thing, but I should be able to give some impressions on it.
Okay, that's cool. So we've got 3 we'll talk about next week. We'll save that for next week because obviously... you'll be able to have actually hands-on impressions of that. We've also got a PC VR release, which is Freediver, Triton Down. That's coming on the 30th. We have actually, luckily, the developers love us, and they've given us early access to the game. So we're going to be able to give you a review of that, but it's under embargo, so we can't talk about that today. But we're going to review that, and that'll be on Thursday at, I think it's 9 a.m. Pacific time. So keep an eye out for that. We'll be having the review go out as soon as the game's launched, so you can check that out, and hopefully it'll help you decide whether to buy the game or not. We've also had another game announced, Zed, which is coming on the 4th of June. I don't really know much about this game, so we're going to probably save that till next week and talk about it before launch, because obviously it's not coming out next week, it's the week after. We've also got next week, we've got Assetto Corsa Competizione. That's coming out of early access, so that's a full release of the game on the 29th, so next week. I've actually got this game, but I've tried it in early access, and unfortunately, it ran like shit. So basically, I decided to wait for it to come out of early access and see if they've optimized it. But hopefully, I will try this actually next week. I'll install it and give it a go with the VR support. It's going to be the full, all the tracks and all the cars from the Blank Pain GT series. So it's going to be, I think there's about 16 tracks and quite a few cars. So it's going to be worth checking that out. And another game, which I only found out about today, which I've just added, which is another racing game, which has been announced coming December at the end of the year, which is Automobilista, another Italian name, 2. I haven't played the first one, mainly because it's a really old game and it's quite dated. But from what I've heard, the physics and the AI and everything is really good. But what's interesting about this one is it's actually going to be using the Project Cars game engine. So it's going to have the Project Cars weather and all the visuals, but it's going to have more, hardcore shit.
What should we move on to?
Well, let's see. What was he talking about? Assetto Corsa?
Some other
Yeah,
racing
move on.
game. All right, so we're going to move on to...
Phantom Covert Ops.
Yeah. Phantom Covert Ops. You guys know anything about this? I know you're kayaking. It's a stealth kayaking game.
Very bizarre. It looks cool. It's like a shooter game where you're on a kayak, and I don't know. It's definitely.
Sorry, I'm back. I'm back now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're basically a disabled serviceman. I don't know. You're in a kayak, and apparently you're going to be spending the entire time in this kayak. So I'm not sure how this is going to play out. Whether it's going to be quite a short game because I can't imagine 4 or 5 hours. How they're going to eke that out of you just being in a kayak the entire time. But yeah, it's something that got announced. There's no release date. Interestingly, they're showing Quest footage and not Rift footage. Before the Quest came out, everyone was showing Rift footage. Now that the Quest's out, everyone's showing Quest footage. But it's coming to both. It just says 2019, so we don't know exactly when that's going to be released. But I thought I'd mention it because it looks quite interesting. Something I've not really seen before. So I don't think there's much more to say on it. Anyone else want to say anything on that one before I move on?
Yeah, I just say, man, that is an odd concept, unique. So,
It is definitely unique. I was just going to say that I don't know. I've been waiting for a shooter kayak game my whole life. So, this is right up my alley. So I'm excited to see what the hell this thing
it seems
turns out
like
to be.
it seems like the mechanic for like the opening scene of a larger game to me.
Yeah.
It's like a. Go on.
I wonder if the kayaking is on rails or if you can actually go all over the place in the water. That's all.
I have no idea, man.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be quite linear, like just down a single track. But whether you can maybe steer left and right, or whether it's just going to be used kind of rowing and you're just going to go straight, I don't know. But I don't know. It could be an interesting idea. It's something we've not seen before. It's like you say, where it feels like it should be maybe a section of a single player game rather than a full game based on this. But something we've not seen, so we'll give it a try. Obviously, when it comes out. So let's move on to some actual games that we have played and we can talk about. First of all, we've got Pavlov, which was announced for the Quest. This is actually now available in open alpha, which you can actually put on the Quest. Justin, I know you've tried this. How do you? This is not in the store. You have to sideload this or something.
Yeah, if you go onto the Pavlov Discord, you can find the file. Like the developers put it up there, and there's all the installation instructions are there. It's not hard to sideload. There's even a bat file included with it, so you got to hook up your Quest to your PC, via the USB-C cable, and then you download it, and then there's some like Oculus developer stuff you have to enable, and some like SDKs you have to download. But once you've done all that, you just do the bat file, it'll install. And this thing will run just like any other game, except it's in the unknown sources area in your library. And I mean, it looks pretty good. So first I got the build number 1, and the performance was really bad. Like it was just like reprojection, just moving your gun. It was like, like that. And like, moving around everywhere was choppy. But this is video that I captured of build number 5, and this one actually moves pretty well. So like some of the sound effects are weird. Like sometimes you shoot your gun and you won't hear anything, and sometimes you will. But you can like manually reload. Some of the guns don't let you. I'm not sure why, but like this right here, this gun, just like in the PC Pavlov, you can you load it the same. You whatever the hell the thing on the top is, you pull it up, you pull the ammo away, you reach here, you put the new container of ammo. Then you have to actually pull the chain of bullets up and place them on, just like on PC. Then turn the gun on the side, then cock it. And so I was going around killing. I was playing against humans, so you can play multiplayer humans right now, or you can play against the computer. And I did notice sometimes when I had the gun up close to my face, it would kind of like move around a little bit. Like there were tracking issues, so I don't know if that's a hardware issue or if it's a software issue they can fix. But yeah, it's pretty impressive. There's no glass. Like you can just walk through here. So there's no shattering glass like there is in Pavlov.
Yeah, could you play this on the PC as well? So how does it look? Does it look a lot of a downgrade, or is it surprisingly good?
It's surprisingly good. The PC graphics of this game aren't that great to me.
No. The thing with this is this game's all about the mods. Obviously, it's the Steam. What do they call it? The Steam thing where community where you can
Workshop.
Just workshop. Yeah, sorry, workshop where you can download maps just integrated straight into the game. So how they're going to be able to do it like this, I don't know. That's the main thing, because without those, for me, Pavlov's not really as good. You've only got like 2 maps that are built into it, so without all those maps and all the various game modes and everything, because they've got like terrorist town, whatever they call it, and deathmatch, team deathmatch. They've even got a battle royale mode now, which someone's made. So it's crazy what the modders are doing with it. But obviously, it's going to be interesting to see whether this gets mod support. So
this alpha
that's something
has 3 maps.
Oh, does it? Okay.
It has bridge, data center, and sand. But the developer said that he was going to put in maps from the workshop that were like popular. And if you can sideload this whole game, I'd be surprised if you can't end up sideloading maps too.
Yeah, because I think the thing about it is that obviously isn't there copyright issues with the maps, because a lot of them are ripped straight from like Counter-Strike and stuff. So I always thought that as long as the devs don't put them in, it's okay. But if obviously he's putting them in the game as part of the game, then that's when it becomes an issue. So, but like you say, maybe you can just sideload them in. So, Wes, what are you going to say?
I was just going to agree with what he's saying. Any kind of mod that comes to any of these Quest games, I think is going to be you'll install an entire build of the game through the side loading process. I think it'll be true for this game and any others as well.
It's interesting that you can sideload this, so it makes you wonder if we can get Beat Saber custom maps, because if you can sideload the mod onto that, if it's the same game, then I'm feeling confident that they're going to do it, to be honest with Beat Saber. So.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a free-for-all on this device, because developer mode is so easy to access, and the fact that you can sideload into it, I think that the modders are going to have a field day with this device.
Yeah. Anyone else? Do you want to say anything else, Justin, on that, or are you finished?
No, that's about it.
Yeah, okay. I do. I was going to say, I was going to ask Justin, now it's only on the Quest as far as you can only play against Quest players, correct?
Yes.
Not cross.
Yeah, and I heard that it's not going to be cross play.
How many humans did you run into? Because that would be my concern, is like, at least for now, that's a lot of jank to go through. I mean, it's not that big for you or for me or for a lot of people that really want to play it, but I can't imagine there's that many people in the lobby. And we all know multiplayer, I mean, that's the death of every game. Now, granted, if you own it already, it doesn't really matter. But I was hoping they would make it cross-platform, and I don't know what that would entail, but that... the more community, the better for every online multiplayer, right?
Yeah. And I would never play this on Quest, personally. I would just play it on PC. I just did this. I played this just as an experiment to see how well it ran. And, but I guess a lot of people only have Quest, so this is going to be their only option.
Yeah, the thing is, when he got in early with this game, and that's why it's popular. And he's jumping in there again with the quest, wanting to get in one of the. It's like earlier. What's the first mover's advantage or whatever you call it? Where if you get in there first, you establish a community around it, and then it's hard for the other people to kind of build on that community. So he's done a good job getting it in there straight away. He's obviously been working on this on the lead up to the launch, because it was pretty much 2-3 days after they announced this alpha gameplay. So he's trying to get it in there first, and be the first like proper, more hardcore, first person shooter on the Quest, and establish itself, which is fair enough, really.
And when I went into this game here, it said 4 out of 10. So there are 4 people in it when I joined. More might have come in. I'm not sure, but everybody was pretty much just killing everybody. Nobody was playing on teams for the most part.
Yeah, a bit of a free for all. But it's one of those things that I think that people love this sort of stuff. So it'll be popular if it's the only one out there. People will jump on it, and hopefully it'll gain some traction, and it'll be popular on the Quest as well, as it, because it's one of I think it's like the biggest on the PC player base wise. It's one that's like held open, and that's probably down to the mods and the maps. So as long as they get that on this, then I think that it'll do well.
Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
One more thing. So it moves when you have the gun in just one hand. It moves 1-to-1, like completely fluidly, but as soon as you put your left hand on the barrel, it's not 1-to-1 anymore. Like when you tilt the gun, it doesn't feel very good to me.
And they got like because I know they've got like a virtual gun stock which stabilizes things. Which
maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, I used that because they've got like a virtual like a shoulder thing where it kind of locks to the shoulder. So if you try and move it around, it doesn't move. It kind of just moves in a certain way. It's weird. I didn't like it personally. But
okay, that might have been what it was.
It might be worth checking the options. Maybe it's turned on by default, but I know some people like it, some people don't. So I think it's a preference thing, because obviously if you don't have it, then you've got a lot of movement to try and aim and be accurate. Whereas if you've got that virtual gun stock, it's kind of simulating you pulling the gun up to your shoulder effectively. So
okay,
yeah. Justin, so let's assume this thing catches on and the lobbies stay full. You said you'd rather play it on PC, which is understandable because you have a wireless setup on your Vive. But let's say you didn't have that and you had to choose between playing it wireless with the Quest or playing it wired with the Rift. Which one would you play?
Wired with the Rift, because I don't find the Quest comfortable.
Ah, I see. I got you.
Yeah.
What a bummer. That's what I'm hearing about both Rifts, is that they're just not. It's like Oculus just said, fuck comfort, man. Like, who wants to be comfortable,
I have to refute you there. That S is very comfortable to me and to my wife and children too. I think it's an individual thing with this comfort deal. Everyone's face is different. And even with the Quest, I've gotten better over the last couple of days at fitting it, and it's not as uncomfortable to me now as it was at first. But Rift S is totally comfortable, man. That thing is like wonderful.
Yeah, it's very personal. Obviously, people have got different shaped heads, so
I just find the Rift, the original, the way you can tilt it. Like, I just playing the games last night. It's just so comfortable, and I don't have to sacrifice either. I can make it fit right, and I can make it look good. And I just, like Wes was saying, not everybody has that. And I guess maybe I'm just going with my personal experience with the OG Rift. Maybe I guess not everybody has that experience with it either, right?
I just wanted to show that the Quest can tilt. See all this tilting I'm doing? It's like a lot of tilting.
Yeah, there's a lot of play with it. That's the way I manage it. When it starts to get heavy on my face, I just change the tilt to shift the weight on it, and it takes care of it. And to what you were saying, Rooch, you're absolutely right. You think that the OG Rift is completely comfortable, and to me, it's the most uncomfortable. So.
Oh wow!
Yeah, you just convinced me that the Rift S probably won't be comfortable for me.
Yeah, any Halo style doesn't work for me, but the Rift S at least has a top strap. I have to have a top strap.
Yeah, yeah. The Rift S is actually quite a bit different than the PlayStation VR.
Mhm.
Not only has it got that hybrid style with the top strap, but the band on it is not elastic, so it's not constantly pulling. There's a dial on the back, and you can dial it out super big, and then you fit it on and tighten it up. So it's a lot different than PSVR actually.
I detached PSVR's elastic 100 completely because that wasn't even an option for me, that elastic. Yeah.
Yeah. This one comes out actually a little bit bigger than PlayStation VR, and there's no elastic at all on it. So.
Okay. So does this hurt you on your forehead? That's where it kills me. So then I have to turn it so that I always play with it angled as much as I can so that the weight's on my cheeks instead of my forehead.
Right. I put it mainly on my forehead,
Really?
but the problem I was making at first is I wasn't putting the back strap down far enough toward my neck, and it was making the thing out of balance a whole lot more and putting a lot more weight on my face. But as soon as I put some emphasis on getting that back strap correct first and then getting the face situated, it's been a lot more comfortable since then.
I've always had, I don't have much room on this top strap left. So I've always had it as far down as I could pretty much get it.
Yeah, that same here. I've got maybe an inch and a half of that strap showing when I attach it. I've got a big head too.
Okay.
All right. You done tucking your hardware?
Yeah.
I knew it when we started it. I knew it was going to be getting to Alex.
Yeah.
It's fine. Okay. Let's move on to another game, which Justin, you've played, Face Your Fears 2. I know this video you've got going on.
Spoilers.
Maybe don't watch. Yeah, just listen. Don't watch if you don't want to have any spoilers, because it is playing through part of the game. So, pre-warned.
Yeah. So yeah, this video is the 2013 part. So there's two different tracks you can go. There's a 1983, and then there's a 2013. 1983 is called The Investigation, and it's like these paranormal researchers are checking out this haunted house, and then 2003 ends up being the same area, the same house, and it's like a different storyline going on. So this game is very different than Face Your Fears, the original one, is that because this actually have free locomotion and levels that you're walking through, and Face Your Fears, the original, you're just pretty much stuck in one spot, and there's not much else to it. And this game has a lot of platforming and lots of climbing, and you're gonna die a lot. They could have called this game I Expect You to Die Too, because you die. I don't know how many times I died. More than 30 times probably. Because I don't know, the platforming's tricky. You're gonna fall to your death a lot. You're gonna be climbing, and I don't know if it's tracking or if it's the game, but sometimes you feel like, hey, I thought I grabbed that, but you're gonna fall and die. Or you're gonna get killed by wildlife. There's so much wildlife trying to kill you, especially in this track that I'm playing here in 2013. So you have to go through, and there's lots of puzzles. You have to find certain items to use at certain places. Maybe you'll have to find a key that's going to go over here, or a fuse that's going to turn this thing on, or pliers that'll unlock a lock or open up a lock. All sorts of different stuff. Some of the puzzles were a little tricky. That took a little while to figure out what I was supposed to do. The tracking was good, except for when I was climbing. That was the only time where the tracking seemed weird, a little wonky. Sometimes the display would just kind of freeze. It didn't know where I was. I don't know if it had something to do with my hands being up here. And sometimes the display would just go black briefly, and then it would come back. And I don't know if it's because I collided with things or what the deal was. But I thought it was fun. I started out really frustrated by this game because in 1983, there's some tough platforming stuff. But once I got past that, I liked it a lot more, and I would say this is probably my favorite Quest game that I've played, and I recommend it. It's $20, I believe.
How have you finished? Have you finished this then?
Yeah, I finished both, and I also uploaded a video of the endings. Like
how long did it take you?
The 2013 one might have taken me an hour. The 1983 one, that could have been 2 hours. That one I had a much tougher time with.
Okay. So it's a recommend at $20, you think?
Yeah. If you like scary stuff.
Yeah, I watched a bit of your footage because I didn't want to watch it all because I didn't want to spoil it. But some spiders in there, which you get a hammer, and then you've got these spiders, massive spiders coming at you. So that's going to be interesting. We've not got confirmation if this is coming to Rift. So hopefully it will, because I know Roots, you're a bit disappointed that we've not got this on the Rift yet.
Yeah, well, I'm just disappointed that I didn't get to see any of the Face Your Fears 1's DLCs. Like, I'm not going to ever get a go. It's just not going to happen. So I don't understand why they haven't brought it to us yet. So I am hoping that. I mean, I didn't even realize it was this cool, like where you can actually get to drive and do a bunch of shit. That's really cool. So I'm hoping it comes to the Rift, crossing my fingers, because if it doesn't, I think it's a lot of lost money because I'm pretty sure everybody will pick it up.
Yeah, it looks definitely a lot more than the first one, because the first was like an experience, kind of like short little, more passive experiences, whereas this is obviously more of a full fleshed out game. So, and if Justin recommends it, it's got to be good.
For real.
Yeah, it looks totally solid for a mobile game, especially, man. I mean, this looks good.
Yeah.
So, anyone else got any questions for Justin on this?
No, you asked my question. I was just wondering how long the thing was in total.
Oh, right, yeah. Go on, Justin. You were going to say something.
Should I? You said spiders. Should I tell any of the other animals, or is that? I mean, right here in this video, there's a snake trying to kill me. It did kill me a second ago, but then I figured out what I had to do right there. But I won't say what I did in case somebody's listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so is that kind of like how the puzzles are, like what we've just seen in the video? Obviously, don't say what you did, but it's kind of like just environmental puzzles where you're having to use objects to do certain things to get past certain. Just like
that one was on the easier end right there. That puzzle. Yeah.
Yeah. You never got frustrated, then never got stuck and like thought you didn't know what the fuck you were supposed to be doing, sort of thing.
I did on platforming stuff, but not really on the puzzles.
So when you say platforming, are you actually jumping? Actually physically jumping?
You're not jumping, but there are parts where you have to go like, you have to walk across narrow platforms and kind of like drop down. Like you'll walk off of a platform onto a lower one, and there are a lot of times where you'll fall and die, and you won't really realize why, or you won't really realize where was I supposed to go. That happens sometimes. But in the options, there is a hints thing you can turn on, but I wouldn't do that. But you could.
Yeah, I always turn that stuff off because it just spoils the game if you have hints on there. So.
I got a question.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, like, if you guys have the same thing. And I was experiencing this last night playing a game that we can't talk about until the embargo's off. And, you get to these puzzles and you get stuck on something and it can get frustrating, right? And I think it's part of it's in VR. Like, it's so much more like when I'm in VR, I have less tolerance than if I'm playing a flat game. I can deal with stuff a lot more. But when I'm in there, I want to solve it. And it's something weird. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, or it's something that's maybe it's just something that's just to me only.
Yeah, I can't stand when there's no option to turn the hints off, and specifically to the game you were talking about. about playing last night. I was playing the same game last night, and this really bothered me about it. That it didn't give you any option. It just basically told you what to do the whole time. Like, go here and do that. Like, I think that should be an option because I like to figure things out on my own.
It's not very cryptic. We're talking, not saying what we're talking about. Yeah, you'll find out about that. But yeah, anything else you want to talk about on this before we move on?
It's free locomotion only.
Is it? No teleport.
No teleport. And
does it have like blinders and stuff like that? Like snap turn and stuff.
Yeah, there's snap turn, and I'm pretty sure there's vignette, comfort vignette.
Although why would you use snap turn when you've got a wireless headset? I don't know. But
well, some people want to sit.
Oh right, yeah, I suppose. Yeah. Do you? Because I know Wes, you obviously sit on PC VR. Are you finding you stand now with a Quest or?
I stand a lot. It's not that I sit while I play, but I do use the thumbsticks even though I'm standing. But no, I've actually been moving around a lot more with my Quest, but that's basically because I'm in there playing in a larger room, so I know that I have space. I don't have to worry about busting my TV up, and not only that, but the Pass-Through Plus is a game changer. So it gives me some self-assurance that I'm not going to destroy something. So I am moving around a little bit more, but I almost always stand when I play PC VR anyway. I just use my sticks to turn instead of turning physically.
But with Quest, you're using the stick to turn too?
No, not as much. But like I said, it's more of I have more space in there type deal. And with the Pass-Through Plus, I can see my surroundings a little bit better. So no, I'm moving around a bit more with the Quest now because of that.
Okay. All right. So if no one else has got anything else to talk about on Face Your Fears 2, recommend by Justin, which means it's definitely good. So let's move on to a free experience that came out. I think it was last weekend before, if you're listening to this recording. Wolves in the Walls, which was made by, I think it's Fable Studios, who were originally part of the Oculus Stories group, but I think they got shut down. And this is one of their projects that they were working on. It's based on is it a comic or a novel? I'm not sure. Wes, you know more about the author of this one?
It's a short story by a writer who's well known in the comic book world, Neil Gaiman. He didn't write the script for this, but he wrote the short story that this was based on. But,
okay, so you start. You've played this as well. So why don't you start? Give us your thoughts.
Yeah, I tried that this morning actually, and I was really impressed with the audio visual art style of it. That was probably the most impressive thing about it to me, is just the style of it, the way the story and the scenes unfold around you, and that was, I always, when I try one of these experiences, I always like them, but they're never longer than 2 or 5 minutes. This one considerably longer at around, it was like 20 to 30 minutes, this thing. And
20 minutes, I think, yeah.
20 minutes? Yeah. And it's interactive. You're not just watching it, but you're actually this little girl's companion. It looks like she's like drawn you, I guess, and you're kind of her imaginary friend. And as you can see in the trailer there, she hands you things, and you actually help her solve some of her problems that she's facing there, or at least help. I'm not sure how much you actually solve anything, but the interactivity connects you with the characters more, and that in itself is a big improvement over any of these experiences that I've tried in the past. And like I said, looking at this thing in the Rift S, the audio visual, the art style, everything was top notch. I really enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I did as well. I'll pass it over to Roots to let you talk as well. What did you think to this?
I went into this expecting another Pearl or, Age of Sail, something that was, like Wes said, was was good, but didn't leave much of an impression too much later. But I was blown away. I was blown away with so many things. The storytelling. I literally looked this experience, and I see the future of interactive movies. And what this game, or I guess I kind of consider it a mini game almost as much of an experience, but it. What it did the best, I believe, was really made you feel like you were a part of the story. Like when she draws you, like I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. That's how much it impressed on me. When she draws you and like she's talking to you, and like even when you like at first you don't have hands, so you're kind of like an observer, and then she like tries to give you something, and she's like, "Oh, I forgot," and so she draws you hands, and then all of a sudden you have hands, and it was just done so well that, I'm not the most emotional person, but like I felt for this little kid. Like I really like, just I don't know, like she's kneeling down and she's drawing stuff on the ground, and you like, she has you kneel down with her, and just, I don't know. Everything about this thing, I would say if you have VR and you don't check this out, considering it's free, I think you're a fool. It was that good to me. Now, maybe everybody doesn't feel that way about it, but I just was blown away. So,
yeah, and how good was the voice acting, Roots? It was spot on, right?
Everything about it. It was just, I felt like this little girl, like I was her imaginary friend. It really pulled me in, and it was something I did not expect. I just thought, okay, it's going to be another experience. The other ones are good, but this was next level. And I don't know whatever happened to the company or why it went under or what's going on, but I hope Neil, you said it's Neil Diamond? I don't know.
No, Guyman with a G.
I didn't think that sounded right. I don't think he's doing that as well. But I hope this person does more interactive stories, because it was phenomenal.
Is the character Sweet Caroline?
Yeah.
Bum, bum, bum.
I think so.
Didn't the writer of this also write Caroline?
Coraline.
Caroline. Oh, Coraline. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Sweet Coraline.
Yeah.
Before we move to Justin, because I know he's not quite as into this one, and I'll probably give my quick thoughts on it. I don't think the story probably pulled. I didn't feel emotionally connected as much as maybe some of the other stuff, like Age of Sail. We're going to talk about those in a little second anyway. But I think what I liked about this most over all the others was just the interactivity, the way that they had you. I just felt more connected to the actual. Like, you're actually in this rather than you just watching something. So she's talking to you. There's a lot of times where she's in like just a black background, and I found that the 3D of this character really pops more because obviously there's nothing else around her. So it just looked really sharp and 3D to me. I really felt like she was there, and it was just really creative the way that they did the interactions with, like, she gives you a magnifying glass and a camera, and you can look through the camera and stuff. And then the way that they move, you're constantly moving around and following her as she walks. And then sometimes that she'll go behind something, she'll peer something else, and the world's changing around you. It's not like she's just sat in a room and she's talking to you. Sometimes she'll go. It's like the way that it's like she'll go underneath a table, and she's all of a sudden you're in an entire room, and she just crawls out from underneath the table, and then her mum's there, and then one thing I will say is that it's not a kids thing. I would say it's got a dark theme to it, and I don't think a young child would be able to handle it. So bear that in mind if you're thinking of throwing your 7 or 8 year old, or I don't know what age would be okay with it, but it's definitely not for young children. 20 minutes. I really enjoyed it. I think it's part one of a few that they're doing. So, and it's in early access as well. I'm not sure what that's all about, but it's for some reason it's on showing as early access on Oculus, but it feels like a complete experience to me. So, Justin, I'll let you obviously quickly give your impressions, but also what I wanted to do was just talk about some other experiences like this, these free type of experiences. What you enjoyed more than this, and what you've tried before.
Okay. I thought this was okay. I didn't like the story, this whole wolves in the wall thing. I just felt like this girl was schizophrenic or something. And everyone like kept saying it's all over. I didn't really get what that's all about. And I'm not going to say what the ending was, but I was just like, what? What's going on here? Okay. I just didn't get it. So I wasn't that impressed.
Yeah, I didn't really get the story that much. It was, like you said, they kept saying it's all over, but obviously we can't spoil the ending without telling you what they meant. But that it was just more. I think it was just more the visuals, like Wes said. It's like the art, audio. It is like a piece of art almost, with the way that they've created this experience and the way that they lead you around. Because like right at the beginning, she obviously she kind of draws you. And she says, "Oh, you're too tall." So then she draws you again, and you're smaller. And then she like walks 360 around you, so you're literally following her around the experience. And I think that was done on purpose to let you know. Because a lot of times when you put someone new into VR, I don't know if you've found this, because I put my dad into that Berlin Blitz World War II thing, and he literally sat there the entire time looking forward like this. He didn't move his head at all. It was like, and he had the headphones on, so he couldn't hear me. And I was saying, "Dad, you can look around. You can turn around, Dad." And he's literally just sat there like this the entire time. And I find people don't realize that you can literally walk around. You can look around. So I think it was a smart move for them to literally say straight away, follow this girl around and make sure you're aware, because you will be spinning around. You will be following her. She's constantly walking around, and it felt very intimate with her as well, not in a dirty way, but just the way she was talking to you, and she was like giving you things, and you did feel like you had a connection with her as a friend. You felt like a friend almost. So yeah,
I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't connect with her.
You have no soul though.
Or feel like she was my friend. I don't know.
It's because you're dead inside.
I think so.
Or robot.
I think so.
I think she's just got a really elaborate imagination, and her family is just completely fed up. And that's part of it. And I don't know what the noises in the wall is, but that's what she's came up with this story. And I'll tell you what I think it is in between. When we finish filming this, what I think the whole Wolves in the Wall meant, or the ending that they kept saying.
Obviously, we can't spoil it, but it'd be interesting to hear your guys' thoughts on it, definitely.
But yeah, I felt really connected with her. I just felt, I felt like I was her imaginary friend, and I maybe it was just the mood I was in, but it just, it touched me in a way that, almost like Anthony's, tear on Beat Saber moment. Like I just saw the future of interactive storytelling, and I felt it. And it was just amazing to me. But, it's a perfect example how, two different people go into the same experience, and just your life experiences and everything, even your day, can shape how you look at something. Maybe I just had a really good day that day or yesterday. So I don't know.
Little kid movies. Kid movies make me cry often. Just so you know, I am capable.
Yeah. Sorry. We're only joking. We know you're not dead inside.
I know.
Yeah. Now, what I was going to say is what we could maybe do is right at the end of this video, we can do a little spoiler talk just for people at the end.
Turn it off. They can.
Yeah. Just they turn it off, and we'll maybe do that. We'll see what time we're running on. But Justin, because I know you said you actually pointed a couple out to me that I'd not seen before.
Yeah.
You said you prefer the Google Spotlight stuff, like the Age of Sail, is it Pearl, and why don't you talk about those a little bit?
There haven't been any Oculus experiences that did much for me. None of those. But the Google Spotlight ones have. So Age of Sail was my favorite one of all. And Pearl I liked, and I liked Son of Jaguar. Those were my three favorite of those types of things.
Yeah, if you've not tried them, definitely download them. Age of Sail were definitely my favorite as well. It's not difficult to talk again without spoiling it, but I just felt more emotional on that one. than this one. This didn't really connect to me emotionally as much, which is weird because you are interacting. Maybe it's because I don't like kids, but I felt more emotional on Age of Sail. I tried Pearl as well, and I didn't feel that much with that one. I tried Son of the Jaguar.
Son of Jaguar.
Yeah, that was pretty. That was like a Pixar film, really. Like what's that, Coco? If you've seen that, it kind of reminded me of that in the vibe and everything. That was entertaining. The one I think I enjoyed the most, other than Age of Sail, was Berlin Blitz, which I mentioned before, which is that connected to me on an emotional level. I think just because you're sat in a World War II bomber and you're on a bombing run, but all the audio is from the actual recording from the actual bombing run. So it just felt, obviously, just knowing that was real, that's something that happened, and then obviously this certain text that pops up tells you about things, which actually teared me up a little bit. But they're the ones I think. Age of Sail and Berlin Blitz was probably the ones that connected with me the most. What about you, Wes?
Yeah, I haven't played a whole lot of these things. The ones that the Age of Sail and the ones you guys are talking about, I have no idea. I've never experienced those. I didn't even know they existed until just 5 minutes ago. The ones I've played,
catching up to do.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I've done a couple of them on Oculus. I think it's called Lost, and it was kind of short. I enjoyed the visuals of it, but what was that thing, like 20 seconds, 30 seconds? Couldn't have been very long. Probably my favorite one that I've tried is The Bond, and it's a story of a shaman and a hunter and animals in the forest. And I don't want to give that thing away, but it was a little bit longer, maybe 5 to 7 minutes. I enjoyed it, but these things are always so short that I never really give them much credit anymore, and I don't really try them. I wouldn't have tried this one if you hadn't suggested it, and I am super glad that I did.
There's quite a few, and we're actually in the middle of making a list, because we are going to do a separate video, like a top 20 of these free games and experiences. So that's something that hopefully in the next couple of weeks we can get that sorted and put up there, because there's a lot of new people that have come to VR, obviously with the Rift S, and there's a lot of stuff on the PC that's free, and it's definitely worth checking some of this stuff out. So we'll try and get that knocked out in the next week or so. Roots, before we move on quickly, what have you tried any of the others? What was your favorite?
I've tried all of those ones that you're talking about. I didn't care for Pearl as much for some reason, and I didn't care for Berlin.
Roots, your audio's checking out again, buddy.
Okay.
Better. No, we'll have to come back to you. Just we'll come back to you in a bit. Hopefully it'll clear it. Maybe it's your internet connection. I'm not sure.
Yeah, whatever it is you did before, do it again.
Okay, let's move on to another game. This is a game that came out on the Quest and the Rift. We did get some stuff on the Rift, and I actually bought it because I wanted a new game. I felt left out. You guys were all getting new games. You were all getting Vader Immortal and all that shit, and I wanted to play something new. I wanted to be included, so I bought Shadow Point. It's $14.99 in British pounds, $20. It's a puzzle game, and I've got to be honest, it's kind of blew me away, really. But what I'll do is I'll pass it up. Roots, do you want to just mic check? Mic check.
Yeah, it should be fixed.
Okay, yeah, mic check. Right, okay. Roots, you start talking about this first, and then I'll pick up after you.
I saw that you bought it, and I was kind of feeling the same way. I wanted something different, something new, so I picked it up. And I think it's a really good game. I think my problem with this game, and it's a personal problem, and it's starting to rear its head, is I'm starting to get burnt out on puzzle games. It's like every other game is a puzzle game. I'm starting to feel like it's getting to the level that rail shooters got. Now, I'm not knocking the game at all. It is an amazing game. The mechanics for the puzzles are all like shadow based, kind of like if you've seen Resident Evil 7, there's a couple of puzzles in there where you got to put an item in front of something to make a certain shadow. And I haven't been even close to as far as you went. So I haven't seen some of the worlds, but it is an amazing game. I do wonder, it seems like they got Patrick Stewart as a main voice, but he's not like a main role. Like he is, but he's not. It's bizarre. I guess it's a good thing, but yeah, it's definitely pretty cool. But like I said, I'm just starting to get burnt out with puzzle games. It's starting to feel like work in VR, and I don't like that. So
yeah, this I've got the bells in 1 minute, but this is a game that I didn't really have much expectations of, and when you first play it, it feels cool. I mean, basically the concept is it's shadow puppets, kind of, where you've got objects, you put them in front of the light, and you've got to match up the shape on a sheet. So you walk up, it starts off pretty simple. You've got a ball, you put a ball, you've got to get the right distance and the right place to match up the shape, and then you solve the puzzle. Sometimes you'll have a square, a cube. Sometimes you've got to put the ball and the cube together. They start off pretty simple. So I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool. One thing I will say is that the graphics, in fact, Bruce, you talk about the graphics just briefly while.
Okay. Yeah, the graphics, I thought they actually were not as bad as what I was expecting, because it was made for the Quest. They clearly didn't make it any different. They just ported it over. The graphics are somewhat basic in a sense, but I didn't feel like it detracted from anything. It looked sharp, clear, clean, colorful. The worlds were amazing. I mean, even going between like those portals is really cool. But yeah, they are more basic, but I don't think it's any detractor at all.
Yeah, I think that's the story with a lot of these Quest ports, or it's going to be, is that, yeah, sure, that they might not be that different from the Quest version, but the Quest version is better than what you think it is.
Yeah, I was surprised when I first went in. You do notice that there's no anti-aliasing or anything, so there's a bit the jaggies and stuff, and I'm pretty confident that they've not done any upsampling or improvements on the Rift. I'm pretty sure this is just a straight port from the Quest to the Rift. I'd be surprised if they have done anything extra, like the textures are a bit low res in places and things. So, but yeah, it actually looks surprisingly good. I mean, when you're actually in some of the environments, it actually looks pretty nice. And when you're actually in there and you're doing the puzzles and everything, you get so immersed in the game that I just didn't really. I didn't find myself thinking, oh man, this looks crap. And if you went into this maybe not knowing that it was a Quest port and expecting high-end graphics, then you're going to be disappointed. But if you go into it knowing what it is, then I think you'll be pretty surprised how good this game can look at times. We're going to touch on that shortly with some of the Quest ports. But I just wanted to just say a bit more about this game, because I have put quite a bit of time. I've put like 3.5 hours into this now. Basically, you start off on like, you go along a cable car. So you go on this cable car, and then you're on this shadow point, and you've got Patrick Stewart who's talking to you, and he's kind of like a narrator in certain sections, but he's not on throughout the entire game. And then you go into these different worlds. So every time you go into a different world, I won't say anything about the story because I don't want to spoil that, but every time you go into a different world, they've managed to do different things with the puzzles. So I'll give you a few examples. The first one's pretty basic. You basically just, it's kind of an introduction. It's showing you how the concept of the game. You've got lights, you create shadows, you match the shapes. But then when you go into the next worlds, there's 8 worlds altogether. I've done 5 of them, so I haven't finished it yet. The second world is you get this like magnifying glass. So then you can pull the magnifying glass up, and as long as it covers the entire thing, you can then change it to a different shape. So then you have to start messing around, changing different shapes around. You've got during that as well, they do some. We've seen this in other games where they kind of redirect you. So sometimes you'll bend over into a well, you'll pick something up, and then when you stand up, everything's changed, and that really works well in VR. We've seen this in games before. You'll look somewhere, you'll turn around, and then there'll be a wall there that wasn't there before, and I really love that in VR. That really feels good, really feels cool, and the way they've done that is really good. The third world, you've got mirrors. I won't say more than that because I don't want to spoil it, because it's some really creative way that they use the mirrors. You start off kind of basic where you can see your reflection, so you've got to solve the puzzle in the mirror, so you kind of, everything's opposite and you've got to figure that out, but they really start playing with that later on throughout the world. The fourth one, they used you actually have the light instead of you having the object. So you've got to match up the thing by positioning the light, and then you've got these crystals that you can activate, and it gets complicated. And then the last one, which I did last night, which was took me an hour to do this world, it was gravity, where you have like these little hooks, and then rather than you having to move the object and carry the object, you have to just hook the object on, and then you've got to try and change gravity so sometimes you might have to have the objects going up, straight up, so then you've got to go through these portals to get to the ceiling to then hook the thing on, but then you've got to get back down to the bottom to get the thing down without going through the portals. It's really, that one really messed with my head, because you've really got to figure out, I mean, there is some really creative puzzles, and like these portals really add a different dimension. It kind of feels like Portal in a way, with the way that they play with things, where you've got to go through, and now you're on the ceiling, so now you've got to get this thing on the ceiling, but then you've got to get it back to the floor, but you can't carry it through the portals because it resets the gravity. So then you've got to figure out a way to get it from the ceiling. And it's not just a ceiling like a normal room; it's like a massive hall. So there's no way you can reach it. And really clever the way they've done it. Really, the more I play it, the more I love it. It's really, really good. Also, within each world, you've got like, every time you do a puzzle, you get a sun. So you've got these suns that you have to collect. You've got to get all the suns to complete the world, but you've also got moons, which are like extra puzzles that you can do. And if you do the moons, then you unlock a door, which then puts you in another set of puzzles. And it's definitely worth doing that, because some of the other puzzles are really good as well. So there's loads of content. I mean, I'd say it's going to take me a good 6 hours to finish this game. And at $20 and £15, I think that's a really good value. Really good production value. Graphics are good. The puzzles are so creative. It's just got that balance. Puzzle games are so hard to get right, because sometimes it can be too easy and you don't feel like you're getting challenged. Sometimes it's too hard and it's frustrating, and you feel like you spend too long trying to figure out what to do, and you end up having to look up online. I've turned the hints off on this, and I've always got stuck occasionally, but I've always managed to figure it out. I've never got that frustration, and you always get that satisfaction and that, that aha moment when you actually figure out how to do it, and then you're like, oh, I know what I need to do, and then you do it and it works, and I keep like, it's like I'm just so pumped that I've managed to figure it out, and it's just so difficult for puzzle games to get that right, and props to the developer, because they've done an amazing job. They've got some chops, because they've done like the Esper series. I don't know if you guys know these, Esper 1 and 2, which were like Gear VR, and so they know the puzzle games, and really, really top notch. One of the best puzzles. It's top 5 puzzle games on VR for me. If you like puzzle games, get it. And I know Roots is probably not. I don't know how far you've got, but I'd say stick with it. I don't know if
I definitely will. Actually, Alex, hearing you describe it, I want to go play it right now. Like it. I only went so far. So
you played the first world, I think, and the first world's kind of like introduction world. It just changes up every time. If you think you know what's gonna, you think you're gonna get bored with it, and they switch things up. The mirror world had me literally laughing out loud, because when you figure things out, I can't say it without spoiling it, but when you figure certain things out about the mirror world, that you can do certain things, it's like, it just feels so clever. It's like, oh my god, it's just unbelievable how creative this is. So and I feel like it's probably going to go under the radar, because obviously you've got Vader Immortal and Journey of the Gods, which kind of are more in probably people's radar. But this is definitely a recommend for me. Just get it. If you like puzzle games, just buy it. I know, Justin, you bought it, but you've not tried it yet, though, have you?
No, I probably will today. No.
Sweet.
I'm definitely interested in hearing what your thoughts on it, because I'm really loving it, and like I say, it's just one of those games that it starts off, like you can see that on the screen there. That's kind of like how it starts, just basic. Take this object, line it up. But as it goes on, it just gets more and more complicated. But it's not complicated for the sake of being complicated. You guys have played Transpose, right? That puzzle game.
That's
that game,
complicated.
Yeah, that game really messed with my head, to the point where my head would hurt. Mm-hmm. And I haven't been back to it, because it's just too hard for me to get my head around. Whereas this one has just got a balance, it's just perfect balance which is really difficult to achieve in a puzzle game. So, okay, so that's me recommending that one. And we've got Face to Face 2, which is a recommendation. So that's 2 games people need to buy. So let's talk about Quest ports. You, obviously, Wes and Justin have both got Quests. Unfortunately, me and Roots haven't bought them. And you've had access to a few games which you've had through cross-buy or through getting keys or what have you. So you've tried out, obviously, some games that you've already played on the PC. So we'll start with you, Justin. Why don't you talk about what you've played and what you think compared to the PC?
Okay, I played. I had Robo Recall Unplugged, and I made a video of that. That, it's okay. I mean, it's definitely inferior to the PC version. Wes, did you play that?
No, actually, I steered clear of Robo Recall. It seems like there's a lot of people are disappointed with the Robo Recall port, and it's been done and done over again at this point as far as content on the channel. So I didn't check that one out.
Okay. So I tried. Well, there's a bunch of demos that are free. So like there's a Creed demo. I was pretty impressed with that. You get to do one fight against this one giant dude. It looked, of course it's a downgrade, but it looked pretty good. I think the punch tracking and blocking wasn't as good as PC. Then there was Beat Saber. I tried the Beat Saber demo. I didn't really see any difference between that. Wes hasn't even played Beat Saber, so like you probably didn't play the demo.
Well, I haven't played Beat Saber, but my wife and children all played that demo, immediately got hooked, so I had to install it on my Rift. They came in here and played it on that. They said there were some small differences graphically, but largely the same game. Very playable on either system.
Okay. I played First Contact. I could see a downgrade, but it's kind of like you have to do an A-B comparison. Like, because when I haven't played First Contact in a long time, so it's hard to do that comparison without, having it right there. I played Super Hot. Really hard to tell any difference. Space Pirate Trainer, I could tell the difference. I could see more like aliasing or aliasing. I guess that's the right way. And like just because the screen is higher res doesn't mean the games are higher res. Like they don't have to render at the resolution of the screen. So like they're definitely lower res from what I can see. Except maybe a game like Super Hot isn't. I don't know. So then I Expect You to Die. I played that. You can definitely see a difference, and I Expect You to Die. Like textures aren't as good. Lighting in every game, lighting isn't as good. Basically, that's the big thing. Ocean Rift. I have that for Rift, and I played it on Quest. That's probably a minimal difference because Ocean Rift isn't very graphically intense at all. I think that's about it as far as ports that I played.
Okay. I know you tried Journey of the Gods demo. Is that right?
Yeah, I liked it.
What did you think to that?
It was fun. You have a sword and a shield, and you have a crossbow, and you get to do a sort of a boss fight. And it was fun, but it wasn't $30 fun to me. You can turn yourself into a really big god. Like you hold both grips, and then like you get really big and tall. It's sort of like Asgard's Wrath, I think. And then you can like manipulate the environment, and, like make trees pop up, and then you can go back down to a small size, and then use them as cover, like against the boss or whatever. And it seemed pretty cool, but I don't know about buying it.
So the question is, if you hadn't played PC VR and you bought the Quest, would you be happy with what you've seen?
Yeah.
What you've seen?
Yeah, I definitely would be happy. Yeah, but
what about Robo Recall even, or like because that's the biggest thing is everybody's like coming from PC and they're trashing it, but like if somebody just put it on, never been in VR, would Robo Recall blow them away, or would it be jank?
I think it would blow them away if they've never seen VR. Yeah, but when I've been doing VR, since 2014, it's just not gonna impress me.
Right.
I think that's an important distinction with this, is that this device isn't meant to be a everyday main gaming system for the hardcore VR enthusiast. This is actually something that's intended to bring new people in. Mm-hmm. So absolutely understandable that these games would not live up to the PC version.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've been surprised by what I've seen, just videos, and obviously what I've seen in Shadowpoint. I think personally, based on the hardware just alone, I think they've done a good job, and I think it looks better than I was personally expecting. But obviously, it's always going to be a downgrade. So, other than the simple stuff like Super Heartbeat Saber, obviously stuff like Robo Recall. I mean, that's like top end sort of VR, level graphics. So it was always going to be a downgrade. And I thought from what I've seen, I haven't tried it myself personally, but I didn't think it was as bad as I was expecting. I thought it was going to be really bad. So.
The big graphical issue for me that doesn't affect some people, but there are some of us that see it, is the foveated rendering issue. The pixelation around the edges. Yeah. I see it in almost everything. But like, say, Space Pirate Trainer, I didn't see it. But most games, I see pixelation, especially at the bottom, and it's distracting for me, and it bothers me. In Vader Immortal, I saw it a lot, and sometimes it becomes, there's some scenes where it's not, it's just at the very bottom, and then there's some scenes where you see a very defined square of foveated rendering. I guess in scenes where there's a lot going on, like Wes saw the stormtrooper battle, there's all sorts of shit going on everywhere. That's the main graphical issue I have with the Quest, and I think that's why they can get such good graphics out of it because of that. So I wonder if they didn't do the foveated rendering. I wonder what the graphics would look like.
Well, Apex Construct is a game that I tried, one of the ports, mm-hmm. and it's one of the, after you mentioned this, I started looking through the stuff that I played, looking for this foveated rendering, and it is visible. To me, I don't think I would notice it if I weren't looking for it, mm-hmm. but especially along the bottom, it's visible, and mostly I think it's because of the shape. If they hadn't made it so square and straight, I don't think it would be as visible as it is. But in Apex Construct, I didn't really notice it in that game. Mm-hmm. But what I did notice is a lot more aliasing in that game. Huh. There was more shimmer in that game than there were in the other versions. It looked a lot like playing Apex Construct on an OG PS4 version of it. So I think that was the trade-off, that they decided not to use that foveated rendering, and the hit that the performance took caused more aliasing. But overall, Apex Construct port is absolutely awesome. I mean, outside of the rendering, the only other difference that I could tell is the textures in the vegetation, like the trees and things, looked a little more fake. But as far as the game itself, spot on. Like I would, if you like Apex Construct already or haven't played through it, I would have no issue with playing through the Quest version of it, because it's so close to the let's say the PSVR version of it. It's very close to the PSVR version of it. But as far as the foveated rendering, I've noticed it in a few games, and mostly at the bottom, but only because I was looking for it. If I weren't looking for it, I don't think I would have saw it.
Anything else?
I think any other games you want to talk about?
Yeah, I played a couple more. I played Angry Birds, the Isle of Pigs. This is a game that I recently played through on my channel completely, start to finish. And I think that the Quest port is pretty much identical. I can't tell any difference. There was a couple of spots that rendering line popped up, but it didn't really affect anything. I didn't really notice it. It didn't stick out to me, but I did notice it a couple of times. But as far as graphically, gameplay wise, I may even prefer this game on the Quest, because the extra mobility that you get from being able to move around tetherless, it really allows you to examine the structures that you're trying to destroy and find the weak point. Subsequently, it's also a lot easier to cheat, because you can walk right up to the thing and put it right where you want it. You don't have to fire from a distance. But I had a lot of fun in Angry Birds, being untethered. All of a sudden, those waypoints that you can teleport to, the teleport points, those mean nothing anymore because you can just walk around. And again, no concessions graphically, no concessions audio wise. A very tight port of a game that, in my opinion, looked like a mobile game to begin with. So no surprises that it ported well to the Quest. The other game that I played for the Quest, the other port I played was a game that everyone's played, Thumper, and it was very close, I think, to the earlier versions that I played on PC and on PlayStation 4. The biggest difference I could tell were maybe some particle effects that were missing from it. The whole scene graphically was a little bit less intensive than the earlier versions, but coming into it new, I think that it would be just as impressive to the new player because that sense of speed that you get with it is still there. The sense of height that you get as you go up the track, still there. The bosses are still as crazy looking as they ever were. And what was I going to say? The beetle, that metallic beetle that you're controlling. I don't know if it's the new screens or what, but this thing seemed even bigger and more present than I remember it from the other games. I mean, this thing is huge and shiny and right up in your face when you're playing this. And it seems like on the earlier versions, I was a little further removed from it. Maybe it was a little bit smaller, but this thing was visually impressive. It was the first thing I noticed as soon as I got into Thumper. And yeah, I played this game for a while. I got started on it and I didn't want to stop. I had the intention of just going in and checking it out to see how well it ported. And I probably played it for 45 minutes to an hour just because I was having such a good time in it. So overall, I think that the 3 ports that I tried were all very good, very well done. And for a newcomer coming into Quest, I think that they would be just as awed by it as I was the first time that I tried PlayStation VR.
Good. That's what we want. I think, I think that the Quest hit the mark, personally. I think other than the comfort issues that I know you guys are suffering, I think they've done a good job with it. So we'll definitely be covering more stuff, obviously, from the Quest in the future. Nice legs, Anthony. If you're listening to this, just check the video. Just check the video right now. Just have a look what we're looking at. Nice. We were going to actually talk about Lo-Fi, the tech demo, but we're running a bit short on time this week. So, and what we'll do is we'll wait till Roots and Wes, you both play this as well. So I think we might move that till next week. Have any of you guys got anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this week's show up?
No, just look at how cool this video is, man. It's got Anthony just playing some tennis there. Actually, this game looks a lot better than I thought it was. From this Let's Play, it looks a lot better.
Yeah, I did actually watch this Let's Play, and I've got to admit, Anthony did a good job selling me on the game. It looks fun, they've different balls, different power-ups and things. It's not a serious tennis game. You've got baseball, you've got bowling. So yeah, it's just $30. I think that's the main problem. It's just the price.
Yeah,
get it on sale.
I played the demo.
Yeah,
I played the demo, and then I commented to Anthony that the issue I have with it is when I hit the ball, I feel like kind of like it's too guided, kind of like the computer is making it too easy for me.
So, yeah.
And he said
auto aim.
He agreed that he thinks that's the biggest issue with the game. Yeah.
Is there no options to turn that off, do you think, or?
I don't know.
It seems like a bit of a kids game, and they've catered it towards kids, making it easy. Because I did notice when Anthony was swinging, every single one seemed to go on target, and I'm pretty sure that wasn't because of his skills, more just the game kind of making sure that the ball goes where you need it to go. So.
Yeah, I suck at tennis, and I was still getting it in when I was hitting it, you know?
Yeah, so, I suppose they've just concentrated on the arcade side, probably.
Mm-hmm.
So did it feel like in Astrobot Rescue Mission when you're heading the soccer balls at the enemies, how that just kind of homes in on them after you hit it?
Probably not that much, but something like that. Yeah.
I was thinking Anthony was doing really good.
And the demo only has.
Let's wrap this up. Sorry.
The demo only has tennis, whereas the full game has tennis, bowling, and baseball.
Baseball.
Yeah, it's like Wii Sports. Esports of VR, isn't it? Really.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like a TV shatterer to me.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. It's just a prize. Definitely, I feel like this should have been. I think it should have been a pack-in. Actually, if I'm honest, I think they should have been included with the Quest as a built-in game, because there's no games with the Quest other than demos, which is another subject really to get on. But I think they should have at least given you one game with the Quest.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
and this would have been a perfect.
And I agree with you about the price. Who's going to pay $30 for this when you've got games like Racket Fury and Racket NX available to you to play for a much lesser cost? 30 is a little steep for it.
Okay. Yeah, so let's wrap this up. I know this has probably been a bit of a short show. Last week was just like a mammoth 3.5 hour show. We are going for a slightly different route now. We're gonna go shorter main weekly show, and then the game discussions that we used to have at the end, we're going to try and do those in a review format and then put them throughout the week. So we have got plans to do 4 reviews, but I think looking at the time, we might not be able to get those all done this week, but we'll see. So don't worry, we're still going to be talking about games. We're going to be able to go even more in depth because we can go into spoilers and things at the end of the reviews. So keep an eye on those, and if you've got any thoughts, criticisms, leave it in the comments, and then we can check out and try hopefully improve every week.
Like, subscribe, do all the
make sure you
stuff.
subscribe and put notifications, because we've got the reviews that we're definitely going to get done. We've got Vader Immortal, which Wes and Justin are going to do, and they're going to do a separate spoiler cast as well. So if you've already played the game, which I'm sure anyone who's bought the Quest probably already has, they're going to go into spoilers and they're going to go and break the game down a little bit and talk about some of the key moments in the story and everything. We're also going to be doing Freediver Triton Down, which we can't upload until Thursday because there's an embargo on it, but we're going to review that. So that's definitely going to go up. There's a couple more that we're hoping to get done, but we just need to keep an eye on time. So we're going to leave it there for this week. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Yep.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Bye.